Lewis Hamilton tells Mercedes to avoid one thing. In 2019, Hamilton has reflected on his fifth world title win last year, in which teammate Valtteri Bottas spent the second half of the season helping the Brit bring home the championship. The most controversial moment came at the Russian Grand Prix when Mercedes boss Toto Wolff told Bottas, who was leading the race, to let Hamilton past. Both drivers were unhappy with the decision, but it did subsequently allow Hamilton to extend his lead over Ferrari's Sebastian Vettel in the standings. However, the 33-year-old does not want the Silver Arrows to gift him many race wins again. "I really hope that there's never a scenario like this again," Hamilton told Mercedes team website. "By this point in the year the team were like, we're going to do everything to make sure, Lewis is now so far ahead you can't catch him in the championship, so now we've got to start supporting him to make sure we tie up both championships." "Neither Valtteri nor I sit in the room saying we want cars reversed, we just want to go out there and earn the position and race for it. Ultimately Valtteri was quicker that weekend and deserved to win. But it was really awkward. When I got the call that Valtteri was going to let me by, I can't remember exactly, I think I said something like just tell him to speed up. I think in the race I was quicker, in qualifying he was quicker." Hamilton added that he had mixed emotions when crossing the checkered flag, but he was thankful of Bottas' dedication to the team. "I remember seeing him pull over and I continued by," he said. "It's not ever the way I've ever wanted to win, and I don't think any driver wants to win that way. Coming across the line I'm very conflicted, because if I think with my heart then I would have had it the other way, but in life and in competition you've got to seize the moment, you've got to take it as it comes, and you've got to seize it when you have the opportunity. If you put your feelings first you might not come out where you planned, if that makes sense." The team had taken the decision, and even though I really wanted the whole rest of that race, you just let him back by, I took the decision to stick with what the team had chosen to do. It was the right decision to make, but ultimately in the end we didn't need to have that day. But I think it was an important day in the sense of how we come together. It was a hard day for Valtteri, but I think he was fully respectful and a real, great team player. He's been an incredible teammate. It's not easy being my teammate, but it's also not easy being his teammate because he's very, very fast, he's very quick, and he's continuing to get faster and faster. I've been here 6 years, this was only his second year, and he really keeps me on my toes. Next news: how Rosberg led Ricciardo to Renault. Daniel Ricciardo revealed this week that he negotiated with Mercedes. Mark Hughes explains how Nico Rosberg's stint at Mercedes shaped the Australian's career. So now that Daniel Ricciardo has revealed, to ESPN earlier this week, the extent and texture of his conversations with Mercedes, we can piece together a more informed view of the dynamics that were in play in determining the lineup of the 2019 grid. "I knew talks would take a bit of time probably," he said, "and trying to feel each other out, but it got to June, July, and maybe we had spoken a few times and we hadn't really got anywhere. I will move on, that's cool. I guess it gets to the point like that with everyone where you want a black or white answer and that's it. I guess the games can wear a little thin. I don't even know if it's games, but circling around the edges, it's like just go straight in. Put yourself in Mercedes's position in the early part of last season. Lewis Hamilton was still holding off on signing his contract extension, though was insistent that he was not talking to anyone else despite the interests of other teams. Valtteri Bottas was on his single-year deal for 2018 after a decent opening season with the team in 17. In such a situation, and with Ricciardo on the market from 2019 onwards, Mercedes would have been remiss not to hold talks with him. If the unthinkable had happened and Hamilton decided to either defect or retire, then Ricciardo would have been the plug-in replacement. Alternatively, if Hamilton stayed, Ricciardo might have been judged as a potentially stronger performer than Bottas. But as the season developed, it became increasingly clear Hamilton was driving to a higher standard than ever before, and he was attributing this to how much more keyed into the team he had become now that the team player Bottas was established there rather than the combative, warring Nico Rosberg. Whether you accept this at face value or b. have a more cynical take of Hamilton deliberately trying to encourage Mercedes to retain Bottas because he felt he could control him more easily than Ricciardo, that isn't really important. The reality was Mercedes could afford to indulge him either way because of the level of performance he was bringing. From Mercedes's perspective, it would only have been worthwhile taking an opposing view if Bottas was not delivering, and in the first part of last year Bottas was enjoying a great vein of form, and it was no fault of his that it wasn't being translated into wins. Bottas was inches away from victory in Bahrain, had followed that up with a superb performance to undercut his way ahead of a faster Ferrari in China, and only lost that race to the unlucky timing of a safety car that put the Red Bulls in prime position for victory. He was then set to win in Baku until a piece of debris punctured his tire with a couple of laps to go. All this, and contributing in a major way to an environment that was allowing Hamilton to pull more from himself than ever before, it would be difficult to justify disturbing this just for another driver who might, or might not, be quicker and who might disturb the equilibrium all over again. Ricciardo had just been in collision with teammate Max Verstappen, after all. Even if the blame for the accident could be laid primarily at Verstappen's door, Ricciardo was pressuring him in a way that Bottas probably wouldn't have been prepared to on Hamilton. In other words, Ricciardo only made sense as a number one, not as support, to Mercedes. So all that was left was the formality of whether Hamilton would re-sign. He eventually did so mid-season, at much the same time that Ricciardo felt he wasn't getting anywhere in the negotiations. Nico Rosberg's hyper-competitive relationship with Hamilton 2013-16 has almost certainly played a part in Ricciardo finding himself at Renault for the next 2 years rather than contesting world titles. Next news: Verstappen a potential F1 great, says Ricciardo. Max Verstappen is a potential Formula 1 great, if he is able to place himself in a car that makes the most of his abilities, according to former Red Bull teammate Daniel Ricciardo. Verstappen has won 5 Grands Prix in his young career to date without making a serious impression on a title fight. Despite a difficult start to the year, Verstappen enjoyed his best season by a distance in 2018, scoring more points than any campaign previously and finishing a career-best fourth in the Drivers' Championship. Red Bull hope ditching Renault for Honda as their power unit partner will put them back in the mix for titles and give Verstappen an even platform from which to battle the likes of Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton. And Ricciardo believes that the Dutchman has the undoubted talent to take them on if suitable machinery is underneath him. There's a lot of potential, for sure, some potential greatness for Max, Ricciardo said on a Red Bull podcast. I think it's all about the trajectory. He was quick from day one, but I'm convinced he's a lot quicker than his first win for Red Bull. So, I'm sure he'll keep improving, but it's probably going to be more of a scenario if he's going to be in a car that's capable. That's probably going to dictate what levels of greatness he's going to achieve. He is obviously very talented and I've enjoyed the challenge with him, the rivalry. I think we've both grown as drivers, it's been beneficial to both of our careers. Next news: Mercedes Wolff sets out what Bottas must do to keep seat for 2020. Valtteri Bottas must perform at the same level as Lewis Hamilton in the 2019 Formula One season to keep his Mercedes race seat for next year, says boss Toto Wolff. Bottas had a disappointing 2018 campaign where, despite a strong start, he ended up failing to win a race while teammate Hamilton captured the world title. With Mercedes reserve Esteban Ocon looking for a way back to an F1 race seat in 2020, Mercedes has an obvious option if Bottas does not lift his game. Wolff thinks that one of the key factors that went against Bottas in 2019 was bad luck, which included him losing a victory in Baku when he ran over debris on the track. But he made clear Bottas must perform at a higher level, and says the driver himself is well aware of that. Valtteri knows exactly where he needs to be next year, said Wolff. He needs to have all the bad luck gone and perform on a level with Lewis. That is what is needed for the 2020 year. He knows very well that, and he has that in him. Wolff warned that the challenge will be even harder this year as Hamilton keeps raising his game. Lewis improving means Valtteri needs to improve, explained Wolff. I've seen that improvement all the time with him, but you are going against a 5-time world champion. He needs a start where it's right up there with Lewis and all the other drivers for the championship. That is what he needs. Wolff underlined that he believes Bottas is capable of producing a performance good enough to take the fight to Hamilton, and to challenge for the title in his own right. We are seeing the best Lewis that I've seen in the last 6 years, and there is a reason why he is a 5-time world champion, he said. Beating a 5-time world champion at the peak of his performance is going to be very difficult, and Valtteri knows that. But I think that he has it in him. He can win, he has proven it, in 2018, on a few occasions, but he had bad luck or was in a position where he could not win. If that turns into a positive momentum that is actually driving for the championship, I think that Valtteri can win the championship. Thank you for watching the video. Be sure to share and subscribe to your channel to get the latest sports news around the world. Wished health and success. Goodbye.